Hey friends, so I apologize for the weird lighting. We are in my garage, closed in here, because I have two boxes and a tub full of frames of honey. And if I have the garage door open, the bees that are right on the other side of the garage will come in. And the reason all this is in here is that we harvested yesterday. My bee mentor came and helped me, thank goodness, because it's a lot, at least for me. I have two hives. I had three honey supers on top of one hive and two on top of another. It's a lot of honey. So we didn't take all of it because it is September and the bees are getting ready to go into winter soon. And what they will do is they will consolidate resources, and having honey over the winter is really important because it's not just the cold temperatures that keep them from flying in the winter, but it's also the precipitation. So wintertime is the only time of year that we get rain, and bees don't fly when it's raining. And so if we have long stretches of that, then they don't leave the hive and they need food to feed themselves and keep the larvae healthy. So we only harvest a bit, but you have to harvest enough so that there's not robbing from other hives. So this time of year, when we are in what's called the dearth, where there's not much forage available at all for the bees, hives that are suffering, that haven't been able to collect enough or have really low numbers and they just don't have enough stores, they will actually raid other hives. You could smell the honey. I can smell it just from outside. I can smell it in the air. So if I can smell it, I know the bees can smell it. And so they will raid other hives that have a lot of resources to rob the honey. And so one of the things we want to do is make sure that there's not an overabundance, because then the robbing is just less. It just doesn't happen as much. So today we are going to, I'll show you how to extract honey. I got my extractor all cleaned. We did that a couple weeks ago. And I'll show you what the frames look like. And it's not a hard process, but it's a time-consuming process. I don't even know if I'll get all of them extracted today because there's a lot of frames. Let's see, there's 10, 20. We have 30 frames of honey to extract. And my extractor takes 3 frames per round. It can fit 3 frames in there. So first we'll need to uncap the honey, and I'll show you how to do that. And then we'll put it in the extractor and get it going. Also, I need to, even if we can extract it today, I don't think I'll be able to put it in the honey bucket until I can get my sieve cleaned out. It's got wax in it, and that's actually challenging to clean out. What you do is the honey goes into the extractor, and then you open the gate, and that pours into your honey bucket. But it goes, you want to put it through a sieve because that will filter out wax and bee parts. I mean, things happen. Maybe larvae. Sometimes in some hives, the queen will go up and lay in the honey supers if you don't put an excluder on there. And so you don't want that in your honey. So I need to clean mine out. But other than that, we are pretty much set. What you saw at the beginning of this video was it's beautiful, turning into fall. And because we've had a cool summer, it hasn't been brutally hot like it usually is. So I decorated my house for fall and made butternut squash soup. That is my one of our favorite soups this time of year. And then yesterday harvested flowers for the CSA. So now we are ready to, I did not record the honey harvesting because there's really no place to set up the camera. It's down on a slope and the vegetation around it is pretty high. And there's no way I could actually film while we were doing it. The only way that might happen, the only way I might be able to do that is with the GoPro, but I didn't have it. Mike had it for his long ride over the weekend. So, okay, let me get set up here and I will show you what we're talking about. Firstly, these are the frames that we have. So I've got my bus tub here. This is basically going to be for scraping uncapping the frames. I will uncap it and put the wax in here. It's going to be super messy because honey comes off with it too. And so that's for that. And then you can see we've got 10 frames in here, 10 frames in here, and there's 10 frames in this tub. And then of course there's the extractor. There's still a couple of bees trapped in here, which has been cleaned. I put my frames inside and crank the handle, and that will use centrifugal force to fling the honey off of the frames once they're uncapped against the walls of the extractor. They flow down, they fill up in the bottom, and then we open the gate into a 5-gallon honey bucket, which also has a gate on it for filling your jars and stuff. But this is the one I need to get my sieve all cleaned up for. This is the current state of my sieve. That's all wax, beeswax, that needs to get scraped out of here. It's really easy to get rid of honey, to clean honey off of things with hot water. But if you do that with the wax, it just melts it and it makes it even more hard to get out. So really you need ice cold water to scrape this stuff out. And you can see there's all kinds of impurities in here, but that's okay. That's what the rendering process is for. So I'll get this all scraped out. Then we can sieve the honey once we've done the extraction. Okay, there is a chance that there are still some bees in these boxes. So hopefully not. So to uncap honey, you have a couple of options. This is a comb, and you just kind of slide it up gently to uncap the honey. Or you can use this knife to slice down the front of the frame. I kind of suck at that, so I tend to just want to do, oh my goodness, I need my hive tool to get that apart. So what we do is we have this frame, as you can see here, and this frame is all capped. So they cap the honey cells with wax. And in order for the honey to flow out of these frames, you need to take the wax off. And so, like I said, you can do it with this knife, which I'm not very good at. Also because a lot of times if the honey caps is pretty flush with the frame, then it's really hard to use those knives. So instead I use the little comb thing, and we're just going in and lifting off just that top layer of wax. And like I said, it makes a very big mess. And so then later I will come through and render all this wax down with water in a pot. And then we will have beeswax, rendered beeswax, that we can use either for making candles, or I can use it to rub down frames. So when you get a brand new frame with what's called foundation in it, if you rub beeswax on it, the bees are more interested in going to build comb on it. Whereas if you just put it in just like it is, a piece of plastic, they avoid it for longer. So, like I said, this is not hard. It's just time consuming. Okay, so I have uncapped 3 frames, and they're in the extractor now. They go in like this. I'll put the lids on, and then we'll start turning. And these frames are really heavy. They're probably about 3 pounds a piece. And so this thing gets rocking and rolling if you go too fast. So you got to really kind of control it. Then once all the honey is spun out of the the front of these frames, then we will turn them around and do the same thing again to spin the honey out of the other side. And then those frames are then called wet frames. They still have comb, they still have some honey in them, and they'll go back to the bees. So what I'll do is I will put them all back in a box, in a super box, and put them back on top of the hive. And over the next couple of weeks, they will clean out all the remaining honey and any nectar that's left in there, bring it down into for food for the colony for the winter. And then I'll take that box off to close it up for the winter and give them a thermal cover and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we do. The bees will clean the frames for me. And then because they've cleaned them, in the spring, when it's time to put those supers back on for them to start making honey, the comb is already built for them. They might have a little bit of mechanical work to do because, you know, things get damaged with the comb that I use to scrape it off. But the majority of that comb is built for them. They don't have to expend a lot of resources on building and making wax to build honeycomb. That's already built for them. They can use that wax for making cells for larvae instead. So it's all good. Give stuff back to the bees. All right, I'm gonna get started on the spinning. It's hot in here. It's a beautiful day outside. It's lightly raining, not enough to really amount to anything, but it's really nice to have a more fall feeling day. However, in the garage, it's pretty hot. I wish I could open the doors, but all the bees would come in and I don't wanna deal with that. So, all right, let me get spinning. And that's just what it's gonna be like for the next couple of hours. I can hear the honey hitting the sides. So, let me show you. Still have a little ways to go, but this is looking cleaned out. I'll spin it for a little bit longer, but I think we got it mostly off of this. Yeah, almost all the honey is gone. So I am going to turn these frames around and we will spin it on the other side. Needs a little bit longer. Okay, folks, that's how it goes. So I'm going to keep working on this. And then when we get to the straining part, I'll explain again what we're doing. Okay guys, my camera ran out of space on the memory card, so we are doing the rest of this video on the phone. Probably the sound will be okay because I'm in the garage and there's not a lot of wind noise. Anyway, I have 9 frames left to spin, but I can't keep spinning because the extractor is so full of honey that it won't turn anymore. So I need to start straining this out. I just went to go clean my strainer. It was pretty easy. I just used, I scraped it out with a spoon. I've saved all the wax. We will, you know, I will render all the wax down along with what we've got for cappings already, which is that. It's a big tub. I'll render all that down and we'll have beeswax. That's for another video. Definitely not happening today. So this is just dripping because it's so full. So what you do is you, I've got my bucket here. Hopefully it's all, yeah, super tight. This gate needs to be tight. This gate is tight, but it's dripping from the pressure of the honey. So what we do is we just open it and it runs into the sieve. And then it's going to take a long time to go through this sieve and into the bucket below. And I'll have to keep an eye on it, but at least if I fill the sieve right now, and you can see some like cappings and stuff in there, we don't want that in our honey, so that's what the sieve is for. But at least draining some of this will allow me to spin the rest of the frames. So almost done with the spinning. It's been hard work. It's been about 2.5 hours that I've been out here doing this. But it's good work, and I'm glad we're getting it done. After I spin the frames, I'm going to put them back in here, and then even though the weather's not great today, I think I'm going to suit up and go ahead and put, I don't know, maybe I'll wait till tomorrow. I hate having boxes of honey, capped or uncapped, in the garage because every time you open the door, bees fly in. So, yeah. But I don't know that I want to suit up on a day like today when it's breezy and misting and open the hives. I don't have to open them very much. Maybe I'll do that. I'm putting these on top of the inner cover, so I don't even have to take that cover off. I just have to remove the outer cover, set these boxes on top, and then put the outer cover back on. I don't even think I'll need smoke. But all the bees will be home because this weather, they're not flying in. So it's definitely not a day that you want to go digging around in the hive. So maybe I'll do that. Then I'll feel better. At least that's cleaned up. I still will have a tub. That tub has frames in it, but I don't have a 8-frame box right now to put them in. So they can stay in there. That's sealed. Nobody can get into it. I do need to clean the outer part of it, though. It does have some honey on the outside that will attract the bees. But yeah, so the box on the left with the trowel on top, that is done. I can't find my hive tool anywhere, and these frames were really sealed in there, so I ended up having to use a trowel. That thing needs to be cleaned. And then this is the one that I'm working through now. Just a few more frames to go. Okay, so this is going to continue to fill. I even opened the gate even more to really fill it up. And like I said, you can see the cappings, wax and stuff, and definitely don't want that in my final product. And then inside the bucket, maybe you can get a glimpse, there's the clean honey in there. So once this drains a bit, then I'm going to get back to spinning, and hopefully I can wrap all of this up in the next hour and a half, 2 hours. Okay, all the frames are harvested of honey. Actually, these boxes I've decided I'm going to leave in here until Thursday, because on Thursday I need to go into one of the hives. I'm going to set up on Thursday I'm going to set up a nuke in a 5-frame box to overwinter a new queen, just in case there's a disaster over the winter with my other 2 hives. The queens that are in those 2 hives are old, and they will really start slowing down in production. And so that means I either need to, split the hives like I usually do in the spring, or let them swarm naturally. And I tend not to want to do that here because we've got neighbors and that kind of freaks them out a little bit. So I don't want to go into the hives twice, and I don't want to have to take off a bunch of boxes. So what I'm going to do is on Thursday, I'll go into the biggest hive, take out 2 frames of brood, and put them in the 5-frame box with a feeder and a frame of honey, like full capped honey, because they can get into it, that I saved. And then I'll shake a whole bunch of bees in there. Then I'll put that back together and then put these boxes on top. So yeah, I don't want to have to go in there twice. So I have the extractor is still draining honey right now. I have cleaned up all the honey spots that were on the floor, and the best way to do that is just with boiling water. So I got my kettle going, I boiled everything, and I poured it on all the spots of honey that were on the concrete floor and wiped them up, and now we are honey free on the floor. We're getting down to the end here, the slow part. I'm going to have to start tilting the extractor to make sure, because there's still plenty of honey in there. Like if you look down in there, you can see there's still a lot of honey, but it's kind of low next to the gate, and so I need to tilt the whole thing forward to get the honey out. And then this thing needs to go in the backyard where I can then do the hot water treatment on it as well, and then make sure that that way it's all clean and it's ready for next year. And I just need to store it in a place where it's not gonna get dirty like it did last year. Okay, so we have strained all the honey. It's almost an entire 5-gallon bucket full. It's very heavy. And we've got a friend in here because I had the garage door open for a little while. She'll be all right. I'll help her get out later tonight. So now, and I'm not going to do all of this today. I'm tired and I haven't really eaten. It's been many hours. But I just wanted to show you the next step in the process. So I've got our jars. These are, I buy them, in packs. They come with the lids. And once the lid is on, then it is sealed. So all we do, let's see if I can film this for you. I guess I'll have to hold, I'm still doing this on my phone because my camera died on me. Okay. It's the same technique as before with the other gate, but you got to be a lot more careful with this because it comes out fast and it's hard to get this thing stopped once it's going. So I do it slowly because I don't want a lot of spillover. I literally just cleaned the garage with all the hot water, and I've got more going because I'm going to clean the extractor out in the front yard. All right, we're getting close to the top here. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. Okay, that's about good enough. All right, now I can see there's going to be some drips. So I'm going to put another jar under here to catch them. Okay, so we just put the lid on. It is now sealed. And at some point, I'll put my labels on it. And then we're done. So that's the process, you guys. That is harvesting. I mean, you didn't see the harvesting part, but that is extraction and sieving and bottling. That's how we do it. So yeah, I've got a bunch to bottle. I don't even know if I have enough jars at this point. It's pretty crazy. 5 gallons is a lot of honey. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed that. I am looking forward to getting some lunch after I finish cleaning out. I've got a kettle set up in here and I'm boiling water consistently in the kettle to wash out the extractor. It's in the driveway. And the wasps are already all over it. So yeah, I'm doing that so I can get it cleaned up and put away. And then all I have to do tomorrow is jar up all this honey, but I am done for today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have a wonderful time in your gardens, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.